My name is Dave O'Gara, and I'm a animator, video editor, and a mural artist. I started doing murals about 15 years ago when I was active in the community theater, and I was asked to paint scenery, so I did that, and from there I worked on scenery for many theater companies, and people said you should look into making work out of it and I can get paid, so I did. So now I do video animation and I do murals on the side. I've been working with video editing for many, many years, and it got to a point where I kind of got sick of staring at a monitor all day and was sort of looking forward to getting my hands dirty and actually dipping brush into paint and working that way. So they're both creative outlets. It's just painting murals is just it's a different experience, but it is a creative outlet, much like the video and animation work. A customer will reach out to me, and sometimes they'll have sort of a vague idea of what they want, and what I do is I say, well, go online, look at a style you like, look at subject matter you like, look at a color palette you like, and then I can get that information, design something, and then I have them take a picture of the space, and then I can map the design onto that space in Photoshop so they can get an idea of what it'll look like. Sometimes a client will already have something in mind and say, this is exactly what I want. So I work from that, but so it all depends. It all depends. I should also say I also work with projections a lot. So once we have the design established, I can project that onto the wall, and that's usually my starting point. Sketch it out, and paint it from there. So some mural artists do grids, and they'll grid something out. And for me, this is an easier way, because a lot of times it's difficult to paint a mural when you're so close to the wall. You know, you have to step back and have something that I can see when it's projected, and it's just a lot easier to work that way. I enjoy doing landscapes, and I've done wildlife and landscapes and things like that. I'd say something like that. Something with landscapes, typically I don't, aside from what I said before, usually for landscapes, unless it's something very specific, I don't work from a sketch, because I just do that freehand. And I find that's very freeing and organic, just painting a beautiful pastoral landscape with mountains and trees. So yeah, I enjoy doing landscapes. I did a landscape for a client in Wellesley. I did her dining room. It was on all four walls, and it was done in a Victorian era style with that color palette. And I enjoyed doing that project, and she was very happy with that. I worked on a mural for a high school in Revere, and it was the stairwell. It was on all four walls, and it was really, really high, and it was sort of to show unity and school spirit and things like that. And that was a little bit more abstract, but it was very colorful, and that one was a lot of fun as well. Took a long time. It was a really big project, but I enjoyed that one. I have a degree in graphic design, and many, many years ago, when multimedia started coming to popularity, it was clear to me I wasn't as interested in print graphics as much. So I started getting into animation, and I started reading a lot of books. Back then they had software books that you had to read, and there was a lot of self-taught. So I taught myself some basic 3D. I started taking classes in some 3D, and I discovered that's the area that I'm really interested in. And since then I was the senior animator at a company in Boston, and then from there I was a technical director for a film company in Cambridge, and we produced some historical documentaries, and I did most of the 3D animation There's a lot to 3D. It's more complicated. There's lighting and shading and textures, and of course the industry is changing nowadays. With AI, things are becoming a lot easier, but I really don't have a preference. I do 3D and 2D. I use the Adobe Creative Suite for animation and compositing. I use Lightwave 3D and 3D Element for all of my 3D work. I use Blender a little bit. I use Maya a little bit, but primarily Lightwave 3D, which is software that's not as popular as it used to be, but I'm still holding on to it. I worked on that company that I mentioned in Cambridge. One of the documentaries we worked on was the Anglo-Dutch Wars of the 1660s. And it was a naval battle between the Dutch and the English. And I recreated many naval battles in 3D. And it was I think a 2-hour documentary, and about 25 minutes of it were various naval battles that I created that was a lot of fun. And since then, I've been known as the ship guy, because I've worked on other animations with ships for studios in LA and other. Anytime somebody needed a ship for the longest time, a 3D or a sailing vessel, like a pirate ship or something like that, they would usually call me, and I enjoyed doing that. So my wife and I moved here in July of '01. I enjoy Millis because of the community. It's a tight-knit community, and it's small enough so you know everybody pretty much, especially when the kids were going to school. You know all of the parents going to the various functions and concerts and things like that. So we have a lot of good friends here and made a lot of good memories, for sure. So I post a lot of my murals and my animation on social media, on Facebook, Instagram. I get people all the time telling me, there's many times people I don't even know who say, oh, I saw your mural, it looks beautiful. And I think that's great. I hear that quite a bit. There's a side of the creative field where people will try to take credit for your work, and that's happened in a lot of the animations that I've done. And just sort of watch out for that, and do it no matter what. Do it because it's a passion of yours. Pursue what you want, and just keep going, and do your best, and usually it will work out. I love what I do, and I have 2 great kids, and if you're interested in seeing my work, I can say davidogara.com, and o-studios.net is my animation.